Hello everyone, how's it going? Elliot here and welcome to the Retro Future. Today we're going to be taking a look at quite possibly one of the coolest items I own. This is a Nintendo 3DS development kit. I got it from Sendico.com. Sendico has sponsored this video. They basically just put the wallet balance in my account and then I bought this. So although I haven't actually received payment, I have received a very cool item. And basically Sendico allows you to buy things from Japan. And the benefit of Sendico, and they only take a very small fixed fee, is you can order multiple items. They consolidate them all, put them into one package it all with a lot of love and a lot of care, and then it arrives at your door and it is absolutely... just look at all of that stuff. There's obviously an abundance of Nintendo and Sega and all that kind of stuff in Japan because that's where it originates from. So use the link below to support the channel and go and check out Sendico. It's a very cool place. A massive thank you to them for this. Without any further ado, let's open it. So the box doesn't really look like much. Now I have actually got another development kit which we'll take a look at another time, which has all of the regular stuff on the box, and then it also says development kit on it, which is far cooler in my opinion than just this. This is actually the 3DS box that people in Japan would have received their DS's in, except it is the original bleach white cardboard. So this is what all of the cardboard looks like before it has its prints on it. Doesn't look that familiar to me because in the UK it arrived in a different box, but here's a picture of the 3DS Japanese box, and as you can see, it's exactly the same. So that's the first cool thing. Now the second cool thing on this box is this Tipp-Ex. The seller has redacted the serial number that is underneath that Tipp-Ex because presumably that ties it back to the company. And I assume you're not allowed to just get these and then sell them, so that's probably to cover their tracks. However, we will be scratching that Tipp-Ex off at the end of this video. There's also another one up here as well, and you can see a little bit of black peeking out. But that is it for this box. Let's open it up. There's no documentation inside here. Again, I have a feeling that might be down to the seller removing it because I have got, again, another development kit which has all of the documentation. So let's take this piece off, and then there are 3 items inside. So we have the dock. The dock is absolutely nothing special. It's just a regular 3DX dock. There's no development stuff going on here. We can set that to the side. We've also got the charger or the mains plug. Again, nothing special. And then finally, right in the center is the 3DS Panda itself. Now, why is it nicknamed the Panda? Well, I'm not entirely sure, but the DSi is actually white and black, so it does look like a panda, the DSi Panda. But this one, I guess there is a little bit of white and black. Would you take a look at that? So you've got this silver here and black here, and that is not a retail design. The retail design looks a bit more like that with the cameras down here, and it fades from light to dark. So besides that lovely fade on the front, we've also got some red accents. So on the 3D slider here, you have a little red slider, and then on the back, you have this gorgeous red. It's absolutely stunning. And then you've also got this sticker here, which does actually say development kit in it, except it's in Japanese, but I'll put up a picture of the translation. And that is pretty much it for the hardware perspective of why this thing is actually unique. They've also taken off the serial number, which is a little bit annoying, but apparently, according to a good friend of mine, Jamie, they haven't removed the serial number from underneath. So we're going to take off the back at the end of this video and remove the Tipp-Ex and see what we can unearth. There was no SD card included in here, however I was lent one which has got some cool software on here, so we're going to take a look at that now. So this is it turned on, and you can see here that there are 3 extra applications that do not look quite right, and that is because these are our development applications here. So we've got a dummy shop. Now apparently the dummy shop is used for games that actually require the eShop, and then that's there because there is no eShop on here, so it's basically just acting as a blank eShop. Now you've got the config and we've got the dev menu. We're going to take a look at those in just a second, but everything else is pretty normal on here. Unfortunately, I can't change the language on this thing to English. You can see when I go to the settings, you should have a language option at the very end here. There should be 2 extra language options, but there isn't, which is a little bit unfortunate, but we will make do. There's not a lot in the settings. In fact, there's nothing in those settings that we're going to take a look at. Right, let's have a look at the dev menu. So as you can see, this is not the kind of thing you'd get on anything retail. This is very, very basic. So there's a bunch of different options at the bottom here. Now this is where you can load content from the SD card. Now before we get into this thing and start confusing people watching and also myself with the amount of development-y scary stuff on here, at a very basic level, this is just a tool that allowed game developers to play the games that they've put on here. That is pretty much it. It's essentially just a standard 3DS, which has software which allows the development games to be read, prototype games. Now I can show you a picture of a couple of those on the screen right now. I don't have any of them, unfortunately, but it does not play retail 3DS cartridges. It does play regular DS cartridges because there's absolutely nothing to stop it from doing that. I believe 3DS games are signed and have something in them that says it can't be played on this development game, but that wasn't the case with the older generations of DSs. But this only plays those flash cartridges. Now, there's lots of different hardware that would be used to flash multiple cartridges, and there's other ones that would allow you to plug it into the computer and stream the information into the actual unit, and this would act as a controller, and all of the other gubbins was going on in a big box. This stuff is very expensive. It's also very extensive, and this is quite possibly the most basic one of them all, which is why I love it, because it's absolutely awesome. This is the final thing. This is kind of the take home after a long day at work coding a game, plug the game into the back, sit down on the sofa and play it. It's basically the final thing, but just for developers to test their prototypes on. So it's a very basic thing at heart. There is just some very confusing stuff on here. Now, the other way you can load games onto this is by using the SD card. Now, we have a menu up here at the top called SDMC, and then you can see there's a little red line there. Now that is the game that I was lent, which I'm going to show you in a moment. Now we've also got some other tabs along the top here, stuff that I can't really figure out. It all seems to be blank. Now you've got the program menu here, and you've got some different parameters that you can change, but what we're going to be taking a look at is the config. Now you can access the config from here, but we're going to go back to the home menu and then open the config from here. And the config looks pretty cool. Right, so here is the config. It's all completely black, and you've got a bunch of things up at the top, and this is essentially your menu. And then at the bottom is going to be what each thing will allow you to look at or change. Now, there's a lot of different checks in here to check the system. You've got LCD settings there. You've also got gyro and accelerometer calibration. And a stereo camera calibration. Don't really know what any of that stuff does. It doesn't do anything major that we can look at. The one thing that is actually quite cool is there should be, let's see, there we go. On the test setting, you can actually see the joystick moving. So you can have a look at a very early look at what the joystick on the Switch settings look like, which is quite cool. Now let me show you a game running on this thing because it's quite exciting. So we're going to go into the dev menu. And the game is going to be listed in here. I've already installed it off of the SD card. So we can go down to CTR-P-CTAP. Not sure what any of that means, but we're going to press launch. And you'll be able to see in just a moment. This is a demo of Super Mario. So as you can see at the bottom there, 2011 Nintendo. Now I believe this demo was shown back in E3, so it's a very cool little thing, and it's basically just a level stage select, and then you can drop yourself in and have a little go at the game. Now I think the most likely use case of this game here is for people going to conventions to actually try out the game. So whether this was used in I don't know, a kiosk or something for people to come and play the games. It's just a demo of Super Mario. It's very nice. It works very well. The 3D also works perfectly fine. There's nothing interesting going on there. But yeah, that is the demo of Super Mario. You can't now go back to the menu. You have to turn it off. Presumably, that's if it was in a kiosk. They're not going to want people to go back into the dev menu and start changing settings. So you just have to hold the power button and turn the unit off. So that is pretty much going to wrap up what this thing is. The most interesting part is definitely the hardware differences. I love that sticker, the red accents, all very gorgeous. As I said, let's take off this back and see if we can find that serial number and remove the Tipex. Hopefully I went into enough detail there to make it really nice and interesting, but not too in depth that I lost everyone and no one understands what I was talking about. It is a very complex little device, but it's also quite a simple one. It's definitely the most simple out of all of the other development kits that you can get out there. Right, here we go. Let's pop off this back. Here we go. Lovely. Slide that off. And serial number? I can't see one. Is it underneath the battery? It might be. Yes, there is a serial number underneath the battery. That's our serial number right there. Very cool. Okay, let's set this all to the side and let's have a look at our box. There we go, we've gotten most of it off. Right, we seem to have gotten most of it off. I don't really want to remove any more of it in case I damage the box, but let's just see what happens when we look here. So, E, J, F. Hey, it's the same. What did that prove? Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at this incredibly rare piece of equipment. Massive thank you again to Sendico for sponsoring this item to me, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Goodbye.